Hello, so I don't know what this is going to be. Forewarning, I was like kind of avoiding this space today. I feel oddly emotional. Like I was fine. I was fine. In the video on the other channel, the Legacy channel, until the end, I'm like, I'm not going to cry, but oh, what is happening? I got emotional yesterday. It's like I apologized to my friend. So I'm like, apparently I'm going through a lot in ways that I don't even know right now, maybe. I don't know. What's in my 12th house? Jupiter and Neptune. And then I started I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to cry? Hello? I just feel really emotional. Maybe it's Venus in Cancer, about to conjunct my Mars in Cancer. I don't know. So it would be what? Trining my Sun, conjuncting my Mars. Mars at 20, I think Mars is in like 27 degrees. It would be sextiling my moon, trining my Pluto. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing today. I'm like, just go with it. Just flow with it. That's what I always do, right? So I'm gonna no. Mm. I'm gonna use these, and I'm gonna use that one spread. Where's my iPad? Here it is. The one that had that like past lifey type feel. And we're gonna see what happens. I also haven't so I love to use the Wild Unknown Tarot to just tell a story. And that's how the thing between the 54321 and the creator who was like go out and make worlds, right? But one was too orderly, 5 was too chaotic. They both fell out, and then 2, 3, and 4 were given more instruction. Um, let's see. Just be patient with me today, okay? I'm emotional. I'm emotional and I don't know why. I don't know why I want to cry. It's not this. What is this? Did I pull this? Whoa. What is this? I might do this one. Transformation through previous challenge, growth opportunity / humbling experience, the expanded pond, a gift of passion, a boon, a favorable wind. I do remember this. Point of maturation, perceived lack or deficit where we need a change of perspective. I'm going to run both of them. I'm going to do this one and this deck. This will be interesting. Or maybe, I don't know. Like this is a video. Feel free feel free to not watch. I don't know what I'm doing today. I feel like I was fine. I feel like I was fine until I got to the end of that video, and now I'm in this like weird emotional space, and I'm like, what the freak is happening? I don't know. Eclipses, retrogrades. What's all this feminine energy? I'm like, ugh. And then I wanted to say I love you at the end of the video. I'm like, ew. What is happening to me? Okay. I'm gonna do it. Let's just go down here. 3. Bottom of the deck is the 6 of coins. That song, "You Get What You Give," just popped into my mind. Da, 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 da. I don't know the words, but overall, you get what you give, right? So this is here. I can't wait until I have more space. I need to actually do the stuff that, But, actually, I don't. Things have been happening in the time that they're supposed to happen in. I know that I want things now. I continuously discover more and more and more of what I actually want. I'm like, so it's not terrible that I'm not where I'm feel like I'm supposed to be. And I was actually in a very similar feeling space last year. It was this feeling that was like, I can feel that something is shifting. I can feel that where I end up is not where I think I'm going to be. So I don't need to rush anything right now because there's something that I haven't yet discovered. There's a reason, or there's like an event that hasn't yet happened, or something like that. And I'm not necessarily there, but it reminds me of that. Also, like last night, I was like, I think I want to go into regulation more. And the regulation is linked more to the other position. And then maybe even go into like international regulation. I don't know how that would happen. It's not my job to know how that would happen. It's just an avenue that I'm thinking about right now. I don't know. Don't mind me. Oh, woo, thank you. I accidentally pressed undo. Which one is it? Hold up. The soul spread. What? Have I used this? So it was like Mercury retrograde, I think in Scorpio, 2019, around Halloween. I had a hermit week when I was like building spreads, and then I would go live, and if somebody was there, I was like, "Hey, can I use this spread on you?" Eh. Now I'm like, and I think I might do that again. I don't know. But what is this? Did I feel like I had to have used this? Did I use this? Created Friday, December 25th, 23rd. Christmas? What? Christmas night? What? Is this accurate information? I'm trying to find this spread that I built, and I'm not seeing it. It should be the Valkyrie, I think. Oh no, it's the warrior spread. It's right here. Okay. All right. Alrighty then. So I'm putting the warrior spread on top of the Baron Sandy spread. Baron Samedi was actually the influence for the warrior spread, which is interesting. And he had the energy of master of the dead, healer, giver of life, ensures decay, keeps folks above ground, Valhalla, and like a past life integration. Those were the energies that I wrote with that. I didn't write anything with this one besides what the spaces meant. And let's just see. I feel like the darker one should have been on the bottom, but it's on top, and that's fine. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. and give it a cut. Oh, I can feel my head already starting to hurt. I honestly don't remember. I think I'll keep these. I'll keep these in reverse. I'll read it in a second. That Two of Swords is here twice. Ooh, and the Three of Swords. This is interesting. This is interesting. So with the Warrior spread, it carries a little bit of a between lives energy. And so there's us going into the ground, like in the past lives, and then us coming out of the ground and reaching whatever we're ascending towards in this life. So there's a ruler going into the ground. Like it starts as a page, it goes into the ground as a ruler. Over here, we start at the Wheel of Fortune and we go back to a ruler. Now the suit changes from swords to coins. So we're still on Yang side, but it is masculine Yang into a feminine Yang. Bottom of the deck is the anchor. It's that Emperor energy again. It's the Emperor energy again. We got a king going in the grave, a king in a different area rising. So I guess we're getting closer and closer to Emperor energy, which is, makes sense, right? Because the Emperor is like the king of all kings. So we need to be a king in every element or have some kind of dominion in every element. The soul spread, I don't have like sometimes, so like with this one, I'll write like, so this is a spread that I built on the other channel. And so it's like in the build with me, right? And that, so it's like I have the title that I take from a card, the number of cards, and then there's an influence. And I look up and I write down all the little influences. But with the soul spread, and it's purple. Maybe it was intentionally purple. I don't remember. So it's active, passive, yin yang, mode of action. Oh, hold up. I think I might know why this is. And if this is what this is, then I would be able to do that and not have to run through the entire curriculum, which is nice. I think what happened was I ended up starting and I've talked about it. I ended up starting the curriculum. And that's when I noticed that the person who I was doing it with, it's like their soul makeup was completely different from mine when it came to like elemental aspects and things of that nature. And I think I tried to like encapsulate it in a single spread and also some other things. Where are my documents? I'm just going to look and see the date that I created this. Because I think that was it. Because I don't really have a December 20. No, this was all in January. This was January 1st, 2021. So before I even had that experience, I had already made this spread? What? But why would it, like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I did that. I didn't create that until the 1st of January, which means it would have been after that when I actually used it. I don't remember why I made this. So it's active, passive, yin yang. It's a mode of action, elemental domain and residence, what drives us, functionality and role, the mental decision making, and the spark. This I kind of sort of like, well, yeah, now because that was a lot deeper. I kind of want to build this out more. And I might actually do that. I am going to do that. Then maybe I could make like a different 3 or 2 without having to run through the whole curriculum, right? I don't know. Oh, come on, light. I thought we were doing good. So the Page of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune are both in reverse because the deck was in reverse and it felt like they were supposed to be. Everything else is upright. Now, how am I going to run these simultaneously? I wish I had a little bit more space, but that's fine. Oh, okay. That works. So I'm going to start with the warrior spread. Now, there are some that overlay on top of others. And then we're just going to see where this goes. Again, I don't know. I'm feeling a little weird today. A little weirdly emotional for things that maybe I shouldn't even be emotional about. This is purple as well. Why did she just text me? Hello, just put it on the list. Just put it on the list. I made this Amazon wish list for my mom to just like put stuff in the wish list. That's your signal to do it. I know, I know. And I was getting this push to just like come on and do something, but I'm like, I don't know, like raw. I feel raw, maybe. I don't know. Like, what's happening to me? What's happening to me? Can someone please explain? Okay, so I'm actually going to read it this way, and then I'm going to go into that. So, the valorous act that was noticed was the Seeker of Wands. This is interesting. This energy at all, so like, it feels like there was something, and a lot of this, it could be in this lifetime, it could be a past life. So, I'll just say in the past. I'll say in the deep past to be like previously or previously. But it feels like with this Seeker of Wands in reverse, it's like we did something that we weren't supposed to be able to do. It's very much that energy of a shortcut, but it's like we either created a shortcut or we took a shortcut. And with it being fire in reverse, it's like fire is what fire is. The soul is what the soul is. It can't really be more than what it is. It can be larger, it can be smaller, it can be like raging or like sputtering, but it is what it is. But this is, it's like something that found a way to be more. It's like it broke, almost like it broke the program in a way. It's like if the divine, if the angels knew what man was capable of, this is something that it's like they had never experienced before or they had never seen before. And then the transient soul, transient nature is this two of swords. This is interesting because it's like it feels like there's this energy. It feels like we tapped in like into the spark of the creator in a way. That's what this feels like. But it feels like it was done again. It feels like it was done in a way that we shouldn't have been able to, or that we wouldn't have been thought to be capable of, but it was done. And again, this energy, it goes from on this side going into the ground, it goes from the Page of Wands in reverse to the King of Swords. And the transient soul slash nature, it's this Two of Swords. And it feels like it's like if it's a computer program, then it feels like there was this like program under a program. And so it's like, we thought that we were sort of in this, but all of a sudden at some point we become this in a way that it's almost like it goes above the heads of whoever. And honestly, like this can be things that we do in our own lifetimes, right? It's like when we make a choice or a decision to change something without necessarily being forced to do it. It reminds me of a show, a sci-fi show in which they discover parallel universes. And there's this one character who's the loser who doesn't get the girl, who's like the nerd and the main reality, but in the other one he's like super cool. And the loser version is like trying to find out where their lives differ. And everything about their upbringing was exactly the same. The difference was one day the other dude woke up and just decided to be different. And that's like literally what caused them to be so different. It wasn't anything that happened outside of themselves. It was a decision. It was a choice. Oh, the Two of Swords, it's a decision. And I feel like it's one that it's like it's almost like it pulled on the wisdom of the creator in a way. Because it's supposed to be this extremely immature energy. But it's like it became this, or it tapped into this. And with the huge butterfly wings, it's like, well, when you get a change that high, it's like it's monumental. It's profound. Now clarifying this, the space of, and this is like clues for the next life. Clues for the next life. It's like the almost the space of like the things that we leave for ourselves to discover to get us back whatever it is that we had lost, right? And this King of Swords, again, the Two of Swords and the Eight of Coins. This is the Sage of Zones. That's what this Ruler of Swords is. And so earth and air are related. A lot of times the idea comes before the physical sort of manifestation of the product, right? And so the Sage of Zones, it's one, it's like you need a permit to build on this land before you can build on this land, right? So air is the permit, earth is the building. The Sage of Zones is the one who understands the innate nature of earth so thoroughly that it goes into that sort of the liminal space of that which has yet to precipitate into existence. And within itself, it was able to create something in a way that it's like it shouldn't have been able to. It's very much so like if you watch The Matrix, not necessarily Neo, but when they talk about the one before Neo, the one who incarnated before that, it was like there was this individual who was born in the Matrix that could just like warp reality. It could warp the Matrix without any external stimulus. It was all inside. And that's this energy here. And this is it's the boon, it's the favorable wind, it's the thing that really pushes us into this new space, and it's the exact same. Maybe it's a mastery of the dualistic sort of nature of man, to not be so physical that you reject the spiritual, and to not be so spiritual that you reject the physical, but to be really, really, really masterful in both, and not only masterful in both, but to also be knowledgeable on how to create change. That's what the source of this power. That's why there's butterflies all over this crown, butterfly wings all over, with that crescent moon right there. There's an energy here that's like it can change fate, because these two swords in this thread, it reminds me of scissors, and that's Atropos, the one who measures and cuts, the one who cuts the thread of fate. The point of maturation is the Eight of Coins. So there's also something here. Again, it's in the way that we go about doing it. It reminds me, it's like there are certain like video games, right? Where it's you're either navigating multiple times or like alternate realities or dimensions, right? And so it's like it becomes a puzzle. Like when you get stuck in one timeline, you go back to the past to remove the obstacle so that in the future it doesn't exist. And it's like you're using the past and you're changing the past to make a way in the future, but the future of the past is the present. That it's like that's the source of this power. The source of this power is change. The source of this power again, that's what this was up here. It's like when you do something that you're not supposed to be able to do. It's like as humans, it's not that we can't, but we don't typically just wake up one day without any external stimulus and change. And if we do, it's like usually not dramatic or drastic enough to bring such positive sort of impact and benefit. Because again, like the main loser dude sees this alternate version of himself that is literally everything that he wants to be, that has everything that he wants to have. And he got it because he just decided to get it one day. And with that decision, of course, comes action. And that's like it's in here. It's like a more effective way to bring change or to create change in a way that it's like maybe that's what this is. It's an understanding of the past because with the 8 of coins, it's almost something that's already sort of been woven, right? Like with the 8 of coins, typically there are 7 pinnacles that are already done and we're working on the eighth. But it's like all of a sudden at that eighth pinnacle, something changes where the seven are still the seven, but the eighth is different. I feel like this is above my head. My head is starting to hurt. I'm like, I don't like what? What is this? So now moving over here, this was everything sort of in the past. Moving over here, which spread is this? It's this one. Okay. So Wings on Ancient Things. It came out, it's the space of the Quetzalcoatl. And this is funny because last night I was thinking of dragons. Like we have the Quetzalcoatls, which are winged serpents, and you have like Eastern dragons and then you have Western dragons, right? And there's a difference, although they all carry the label dragon. And it's like the dragon is the snake that never lost its legs, but also gained its wings. And again, that's a little bit of this like energy of like something that wasn't supposed to be able to happen happened. Because typically, and again, that's the space of just making the choice. Typically, it's like we have to lose one thing before we gain another, right? That's why the Quetzalcoatl or the Quetzalcoatl is the Quetzalcoatl. The snake was cursed in Eden after what had happened to lose its legs, but eventually it gains its wings. That's the snake's path of ascension. Lose your legs, gain your wings. But the dragon is the snake again that kept its legs, but still gained its wings. It's the energy of that, like it's that shortcut that we've taken somehow. There are certain events that have been circumvented and circumnavigated because we didn't need for those certain things to happen. So we move forward even fuller. And again, maybe that's why it's coming out. It goes directly from, and it's like, again, the thing bridging the Page of Wands in reverse, who you would think is the most immature, the one that is never going to be capable of, being whatever. Between the Page of Wands in reverse and the King of Swords upright is the Two of Swords. That's a decision. And I don't know in what way that sort of choice or decision was made. And I feel like it would be different for everybody, because this is us becoming our truest self in a way. But it's, again, it's like us becoming our truest self. It's like typically we need to experience hardship to discover our true strength. And in the space of that hardship, there are things that we lose. There are ways in which we are irreparably changed, but then we still become better, right? We lose our legs, but then we gain our wings. And honestly, it reminds me of that sun card, because it's like there's the unicorn and there's the knight, but the knight looked like it had wings. So I'm like, I don't know why, if the knight has wings, then it needs the unicorn. Like, it has wings and a horse. Like, do you need both? And so, Wings on Ancient Things, it's the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. This Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it's almost like, because you took the path and trajectory that you took in the past, it was deemed that for you, it's almost like for you, there are no external circumstances that can put you in this space. Again, that's why your boon, the favorable wind, is for you to decide. That's it. And it's like, yeah, you experience a lot of this. Like, there's the I guess we go from the bottom to the top, right? So there's the two crystals that is like our 3D mundane life, and then there's a key. And then there's this communication which opens us up to spirit, and then there's another key. And then there's this wisdom. This is like the long, slow process. Your point of maturation is to just completely circumvent all of that and go immediately to the top. And again, like, that's why it feels like this Wheel of Fortune is in reverse, because it's like, well, you didn't need anything external to you to do it the first time. And for you, it worked. It's like there's something about you that's different enough that the typical path and trajectory wouldn't work to get you where you are, or it's so important for you to become who you are that it's like, we need you with your legs and your wings. So we're not going to take your legs from you, because, like, for you, like, we need you to have both. And that opens you up again with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. It's almost like there can't be this external set of circumstances that push you into it. And it's not that it can't be, but it's like there are things, like the first time, there are things that you can notice and pick up on that will lead you to make a certain choice and decision. But it's not necessarily like the tower is going to fall, and because the tower falls, it pushes you into this. Now, the cards behind this is, so in the space of transformation through previous challenge, it's the Nine of Cups. And then growth opportunities, humbling experiences, it's Temperance. This is very like Siddhartha Buddha energy. It's like he was a prince. He had everything he could ever want, and he gave it up. And again, like, this is sort of clarifying this Wheel of Fortune, because in this, it's like it isn't misfortune that gets you to this space. It's a desire for more, I guess. It's like when you ask yourself the question, like, is there nothing more to life? Like, there has to be more to life. But then when you grow up, it's like, well, do you continue to seek more, or do you just sort of fall into the mundaneness of everything? And there is a little bit of a dissatisfied energy here. This is also, it's this energy of like a lot of us, again, like we don't know how strong we are until we have to be that strong. This is an evolution of strength in the space of light, in the space of love. It's not caused by misfortune or caused by loss or caused by heartbreak. Like there are certain things that are. And it's like that's sort of our transition from dark into light. That's how we sort of transmute pieces of ourselves and find certain pieces of ourselves. But it's like to grow further into the light. And that's what this is. It's like, right, we have the Nine of Cups. The 10th cup has a fire in it. So in the discovery of the fire, we find the 10th cup. The 10 of Cups lately is the Leviathan, especially in the weekly releases. And that's the us sort of living in, like, that's the power of the piece of the divine that lives at the core of our being. It's the Leviathan, it's the 10 of Cups. That 10th cup, again, there's like a fire that we have to give or find. And it was, I don't remember when it was. And maybe it was in this deck too. On the other channel, that it came out. It's like we're moving from like fire to water. And it's like, but it works together. It's like the natural evolution to this is a completely different element. And again, it's like we have the King of Swords over here that we go into the ground with, and we come out again with the King of Pentacles. We start with the Page of Wands. We end with the King of Swords. And maybe that's why I was looking at like what's this soul spread about? Because there's this elementalism. Like we are all sort of like both feminine and masculine. We all have a combination of different elements, but just like the magician becoming temperance, it's us learning to use those combinations of elements in ways that give sort of new things. Temperance, a lot of times, it's a lot of trial and error that informs science. And it's not that we necessarily get it right the first time, but it's like there's this high priestess energy behind these twos of swords. And that's the space of knowing. But again, it's this question of like, you know things that you shouldn't know. It's almost like even like some divine entities, like some angels or whatever, they're like, what? Like, what? It's like Michael might be learning from you to use the sword in a new way. It's like Michael's been using the sword for so long, then maybe he's better with like a bow and arrow or something. Or he knows that like with the bow and arrow, different things can happen. From a bow and arrow, you can be much more precise from a much greater distance. And that it reminds me of the archer and the Kraken yesterday. In the weekly release, it was the Archer and the Kraken. And again, the Kraken and the Leviathan had these same energies. But with the Archer and the Kraken, it's like from a distance with pinpoint accuracy, this all that lies within you can be released. And again, it feels like that's why this Wheel of Fortune is in reverse. Because it's like it's not necessarily something that is so immediate that would encourage this. Because again, that's more like light into dark or dark into light. That's the turning of the Wheel of Fortune. But this is an evolution within light. And so it goes from light to even more light and even more light and beyond. Or it would go from dark to even more dark and beyond, and not dark in the terms of shadow. It's like dark in terms of the unknown and the unknowable again. But with the Two of Swords in both, maybe it's an evolution in both spaces beyond what we should be capable of. Because if you truly want to create, you have to use both light and dark, right? You use different colors, you use different shading. If you don't use both light and dark, then it's going to be flat. And anything flat cannot stand or cannot long stand on Earth because Earth is so dynamic. That's why, like, the King of Swords, the Sage of Zones is such a big deal. And like the Sage of Zones and the Sage of Essences, again, like that's why the Emperor, the anchor, is at the bottom of this deck. And I guess the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of this deck sort of speaks to the balance that needs to exist within all elements, or how it's like there's also this energy of like, not only do we know proper balance to get what we want, but we also know what imbalance brings us, right? And so let's say that you want ash. Well, if you want ash, it's like you're going to need more fire than earth, right? Or something like that. You're going to need more fire than water to get this. If you have more water than fire, you get that. And when you have an equal measure, you get this. And so it's taking all of that together, and it's utilizing these things that would otherwise be like certain byproducts that you don't want to happen. But when you know how to alchemize that and combine that with something else, again, it's like it becomes something favorable. This is like big brain, high divine alchemist sort of like energy. But again, it's like it reaches this space because it doesn't shy away from either place. If it did, it wouldn't know the power of like this kind of balance. So next, oh gosh, the canal to realization is the Three of Swords, which is interesting. The canal to realization is the Three of Swords, clarified by the expanded pond, which is the Six of Wands. Okay. In this Temperance card, there are multiple pieces, right? There's the wings. The wings need to come from somewhere. The fire in the cup is what is for us to discover. And then there's that like stack of third eyes at the top that's seeing beyond, beyond, beyond. That's like, again, beyond the duality of light and dark. And then like that's all the three things I was talking about, right? Like too much, just enough, too little type of energy, beyond, beyond, beyond. And then there's also these two hands. Well, in the Six of Wands, we have two hands, and they're like third eyes. We got to move those hands from third eyes to like true, like, magicians, wizards, whatever. What's interesting though is that this Three of Swords is here as the canal to realization. And it's interesting that the Three of Swords is here as the canal to realization because the Wheel of Fortune in reverse was wings on ancient things. Also, within the space of the Six of Wands, we see this pair of laurel wreaths, or this laurel wreath. And just like these third eye hands have to evolve into magical sigil hands, it's like those laurel wreaths, like those can evolve into wings. This is the framework. This is almost like everything that we need to combine, except the cup. The hands change, the plants change into wings. This framework reconfigures itself into the mandorla. It's separation. Separation is the canal to realization. And again, it's that feeling of like there should be more to life. It's that question, that constant nagging, there should be more, there should be more, there should be more. That's like it's almost in some ways trying to drive us towards this realization. Right? Like this should not be it. Things should be differently. Like how I was talking on the Legacy channel about like astrology and how it just continues and continues to cycle and repeat and repeat and repeat, and how that's sort of like what we look to it for. But it's like, well, there should be more than this. If we're on a process of ascension, if we're on a process of evolution, then like in some ways, wouldn't we start to encounter different things? Wouldn't certain challenges stop being challenges? Like after the caterpillar becomes the butterfly, The butterfly isn't inching along trees trying to eat leaves. Like the butterfly is flying out and getting like pollen and stuff. And it's like there are some things that, eat caterpillars that don't eat butterflies because now butterflies can like fly away. They're not as slow or stationary or stagnant. And that's what this is. It's almost like we feel in ways like where our wings are clipped, where we should be able to do more, but that we aren't able to do more. And what's interesting again, it's like in the space of the movie The Matrix, they never explained how the first one came to be the one. It was just like there's this dude who's just started like bending reality. And like we took care of him, but in every generation, there is a one. Now, in the iteration of the Matrix that we saw, it's like he became the one through the space of prophecy. He became the one through the space of prompting. He became the one through this wheel of fortune set of events. But it's like the first time again, because it's like after the first time, after the second time, after the third time, you're not shocked, you're surprised. This was a surprise. This was a shock. This was the first time. This is like, well, how is that possible? How is that done? There is no prophecy here to tell you that it's going to happen. There is nothing in your life that will evidence that this can actually happen. In fact, like everything that you experience happens in one way, but this is a knowing and a direction, a decision to operate in a different way. And it's that operation that it's like it reveals pieces of the code that you would otherwise never see. Because it's like you're beginning to operate within the system in a way that it can't comprehend. It's starting to reveal its glitches and its bugs and the things that don't necessarily work. I feel like there is also this sort of like pool within you to seek beyond, or more than just like physical 3D earthly pleasures, right? The expanded pond is the Six of Wands, right? So I think this was a little bit of like a, oh my gosh, the Ten of Cups is here. The Hanged Man and the Ten of Cups, that's the Leviathan. Leviathan energy is here in this. Okay. But it's like it's dormant, it's sleeping within us. So this is about waking it up. This is interesting though, because it's almost like you are meant to accomplish certain things, but not be fulfilled in those accomplishments. And it's not that you're not meant to be fulfilled, but it's like there's still more, there's still more, there's still more. And it's not something that's insatiable because of greed or its consumption in like the 3D world of reality. Again, with the Two of Swords, it's like both. It's both physical and spiritual. And it reminds me of the nodes in Vedic astrology. It's like in tropical, a lot of times it seems that we take this approach of you're supposed to completely abandon your south node and throw yourself into your north node. But I think, because I'm not extremely well versed, in Vedic astrology, the south node is being consumed in earthly matters. The north node is being consumed in spiritual matters, and we're supposed to find that balance of both within us. Neither one is necessarily better than the other. And again, with that Eight of Pentacles, it's like those seven pentacles being created is important, but at the eighth, something happens. In the creation of the eighth, something happens. It almost reminds me of Miss Remy Healing's, I think it was a Pisces video where she talked about cosmic contracts and like the fourth contract is beginning because the first three contracts were completed or something like that. But it's almost like again here, or maybe it's different because like this is the first time and this now we're trying to repeat something that we've already discovered on a soul level in some way. It's like you're fulfilling all of the conditions without knowing that you're fulfilling all of the conditions. It's almost like you do certain things. It's like you're working, but you don't know that you're working. So all of a sudden, one day you get a paycheck. And you're like, "What? Who's sending me money?" It's like, "Oh, well, you were doing the work, so we paid you." You're like, "What? I was working? I didn't even know that. I didn't even clock in." It's like, well, consider it a gift of appreciation then, right? You didn't have to do this work, and you did the work. Even better, we're giving you a bonus and a raise. And you're like, "What?" I'm like, "Is this legit? Is this real?" "Oh, no, this isn't real." And then you refuse it. And there goes your blessing. Bye. I'm just playing. I'm kidding. We're accepting blessings. It also feels though that there is a certain element of restraint here. And in that element of restraint, there is a reconfiguration again. It's like there was this reconfiguration of the Six of Wands into Temperance, but there's this deconfiguration of Temperance back into the Six of Wands for a very good reason. And it may be due to the nature of the transience of the space that we sort of live in right now, right? And it's almost like, well, it's allowing everyone the space to become the one. And so instead of it being the one, now it's the many. Now it's the all, maybe. If we can reach it. Ain't. And it reminds me also Russell from Wrestling Around when he went into the dolmen and he found the mother of many. And it's like throughout history, throughout Earth, even simultaneously on Earth, there are many mothers of many because there are many who need mothers who don't have them. And it's almost like this network of mothers. It's like we are the mothers of many type of energy. But typically, it's almost like typically those energies don't meet. They don't congregate. They don't amass. And it reminds me of what Amanda said Monday. She was like, it's from Unumcar Messages. She was like, it's nice to find like lighthearted and like-minded and like-hearted souls. And this like meeting of souls across like, you know, before the internet, like there are so many people all around the world. I would have even within the same country, even within the same state or even city, I would have never met. But it's like almost now these networks can kind of sort of come together, but these networks don't come together to build something that is self-contained, right? It's not necessarily about creating an oasis in the middle of the desert. It's about cultivating more hospitable spaces. So then lastly, oh gosh, is this burst of regrowth and verdancy. In the space of the burst of regrowth and verdancy, I mean, it's the ruler of coins. Now, it's almost the space. What? I didn't even know there was a plant called Mother of Thousands. And Mother of by the thousands and by the thousand thousands. I think 1,000,000 is a million. This is an energy, it's like how we take everything that we knew previously, but utilize it in this life, in this space for whatever we need now. So maybe also, maybe it's that we didn't use it in a way. It's like, who was it? Elijah? I think it was Elijah or Elisha. I think it was Elijah in the Bible who literally ascended earth and he didn't even die. It's a type of calanco. I don't know what that is. I know like next to nothing about plants, but I'll look it up. Um, it's this energy of like, because it was discovered in the time that it was discovered in, it's like it was ended prematurely type of energy. It was plucked from the earth before it could really, and like I feel like that's the energy here. And right, it's like there was something that was discovered, something that was found out, but at the time, it's like the time wasn't yet right for it to be put into motion. Now with the ruler of coins, it's like it's time to put those things into motion. It's time to create. The world is now ready, and not only ready, it's needing and asking for something different, something more. Now the situation is favorable. So it's like if Elijah became Elijah now, he would still be on earth and he would, I don't know, be doing whatever. Rather than like, oh, congratulations. Like, I'm Enoch. I'm here to tell you like everything, I guess. And then he went and learned everything, but he left Earth because Earth wasn't yet ready. It couldn't handle like that sort of frequency. It's like now it can handle frequency, but there's still this element of restriction with the Conqueror of Swords, Knight of Swords energy. And this is the space of, who is this? The perceived lack or deficit where we need a change of perspective. So in the space of a perceived lack, it's like, well, we don't have as much control over things as we thought we would have. And again, it's like because this is the space of challenge of adapting what we've come into this life with and using it in a way in this life. And again, it's almost that was sort of the energy of restriction here, where it isn't necessarily for us to be all that we are, right? Because we are sparks, we are pieces of the creator. So no matter how sort of like deeply we tap into what that creator can do within us, we still need to sort of allow for earth to be what earth is, which is like a consensus reality in a lot of ways. Like your individual experience is your individual experience, but when it comes to like earth, and it's the ruler of coins, so earth as a whole, it's more of a consensus. And so there are things that within yourself you can do, but within its consensus it's like you wouldn't do. And the king of pentacles for me, the sage of realms, is the last, like that's the last king energy that we get before we head to the emperor status. So it's like we're in transition, and again the anchor is at the bottom of the deck in this deck. So this deck gave us the emperor, the king of wands, and the king, no, the emperor, the king of swords, and the king of pentacles. Everything sort of like yang aspected. And I feel like the yin aspect is in the space of the connection that leads to the decisions anyway. And also, because I think this is, oh, well, the Page of Wands is there. Again, with the Nine of Cups and Temperance, it's like between water and fire, those are balancing sort of themselves out. Or like the balance of water and fire is outside of the scope of this reading. And maybe that's why the Wheel of Fortune is here as well, right? It's like the balance of internal water and internal fire that's outside of what the world can sort of give you. The world can give you earth and air, right? The world can teach you how the world works, and they can sort of reflect things back at you that will get you to look inside, but all of that internal work is mostly internal, right? And so the last card, which exists in this spread but not in the other one, it's the gift of passion. The gift of passion is the Four of Wands. In the Four of Wands, we see the two hands again and that coin with the wishbone. It's an unbroken wishbone, though. And I feel like the wishbone is unbroken in this space because it's everyone's wish. When you break a wishbone, like one person gets the wish, the other person doesn't get the wish. But it's for everyone. And I feel like that's the challenge here. The challenge is navigating. It's like within our own personal worlds and realities, maybe we've gotten really good at sort of defining that, but the challenge is in creating a space for everyone. I just want like one or two cards. I'm pulling the Diceology. That's a lot. Ooh, I'll read them. On the cusp of realization, a shared vision, and a quickening. The shared vision and the quickening, that's what's important. It's almost like if it were a single vision, it would take too long. And not only would it take too long, that's not what's being asked for right now. On the cusp of realization, though, huge. I don't know why. I'm sorry. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. A wise king who settles an impossible dispute and operating in divine order. King of Hearts, King of Cups energy coming through. Nine of Hearts. Again, we've seen the Nine of Cups. A blip of light at the heart of a black hole. Progenitors in a primordial pool. That blip of light at the heart of the black hole. It's something that exists in a space where you think it wouldn't, because black holes suck in everything. So how then is this light able to sort of penetrate that or escape? Four of Spades, an arrow that swims through the air, force pliability in a fixed vision in a volatile space. The Red Joker, material intervention. The coming of spring, mastering the game of life. Mastering the game of life. It holds the energy between that King of Swords and the King of Pentacles. And then the Eight of Clubs, an immediately met request, a land where all seasons reside, and a return to center. Bottom of the deck, Eight of Diamonds, a complete set of instructions, a stubborn moth reborn as a firefly, and a successful trip. Excuse me. And that's it. I will we'll see what this space becomes. Again, I think maybe next time I'll just like, I love using the Wild Unknown tarot to just like let the cards decide what the story is going to be. Sometimes it's kind of wild. I don't know what I'm doing with the space. I don't know what I'm doing today. I'm just weirdly, oddly emotional, but it's fine. I feel like, we're coming into this space where I feel like a lot of times when we talk about being sovereign individuals, or when we hear or think about being sovereign individuals, it's like, we try to create these realities the way that we want them. But it's important now to keep in mind that it's more than just us on this planet. And it's allowing other people the space to be themselves more than just a reflection of you, because that's a little egocentric, spiritually egocentric, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's the truth. I mean, it's like it is on some ways, but on this level, on this plane, that's not necessarily the case. And anybody can reflect anything to anybody. Like, we're made of primarily 70% water. Water is reflective. Water also distorts again. So water may not necessarily give you a 100% accurate reflection. Final message from this deck, please. Oof, I gotta go to the restroom. It's so warm. And again, it's that Mufasa, remember who you are. Because it reminded me, it was like, you don't know who you are you? So it's like, well, it's time to remember. And after you remember who you are, you still become more. Because it's like, well, now, who are you within the context of this life and this space at this time? A card flipped over. Here it is. The Ten of Swords. Oof. The Ten of Swords is the Griffin, which is the vehicle of change. Bottom of the deck is the Devil. Hey, I'll take this. I'll take this gladly. We're Ten of Swords and the Devil. Oop, oop, oop. Oh wow. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So behind the Devil is the Sovereign of Cups. And then these cards fail, and then I noticed the Sovereign of Wands. So that's Queen of Cups, Queen of Wands energy. So, this is feminine. It's yin, right? There's yin feminine, yin masculine. In yang, we had yang feminine and yang masculine. Yang gave us kings, rulers. Yin gives us queens, sovereigns. Love that. But between, and again, it's like what happens between water and fire is between the duality and polarity of water and fire. What happens between earth and air, it's a duality and polarity that is informed by the other one, but it's separate in ways. And the two cards between them, the Seeker of Wands, now upright, and the Ruler of Swords. In this light deck, right? These were the two cards that came out at first in the darker one, or the first and the third. We started as the Seeker of Wands, we end as this Ruler of Swords, and it's like, what? But within that, that's an area that is within itself gate kept by the Queens of Cups and Pentacles. And then under the Sovereign of Wands is the Ruler of Cups, King of Cups energy. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And all that lies beneath the Devil, which is why it's so important for us to not be so caught up in the spiritual or so caught up in the earthly. It's almost like in a healthy balance of both. It gives us it's like the avocado. It's a healthy amount of spiritual and physical ego without one necessarily. It's like, we can completely abandon the physical ego for a spiritual one. And it's like, maybe that kind of defeats the purpose. Maybe it's meant to be balanced. Maybe it's not. We're all different. So let's see. Now I got to shuffle up this deck. I really got to go to the bathroom. But Death came out at the cut again. I noticed Death at the cut the first time I shuffled the lighter deck too. So there's transformation happening both in the light and in the dark. But it makes sense, right? If we go higher, we can also go lower. It's an expansion into both territories, like that was evidenced by the Two of Swords in both decks. We're going deeper. We're going beyond what was previously thought. Just saw the Chariot and the Five of Swords. Now with the Star and the Chariot, I love those energies. It's like we're getting closer to that sun, or we're lassoing it in, right? We're lassoing the Star in to get a new sun. Final message from this deck, please. There we go. Of course it is. The Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. The Ten of Cups is the card that came out. This is that Leviathan, right? So you see this third eye? This is an as above, so below energy and the in between. This honestly reminds me of the three third eyes that were at the top of the Temperance card. But now the top third eye and the bottom third eye are both stars. And I did just say it's like we're lassoing in a star to have a new sun. It's this binary star system. It's like we actually live in a binary star system, but we treat it as a single star system. I don't know. Oh, it's like a star lasso. I love that. It's like if I could lasso for you the moon, I would. It's like I don't want the moon. I want a star. I want a new sun. Whew. Well, that card's on the floor. All right, I gotta go to the restroom. It was lovely to see you here, Eve. Welcome to this space. In general, it's probably gonna evolve and change again. I don't know what it is. I just felt, I guess, that I would do this today, even though I was a little weepy. And I'll catch y'all later. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this and you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that you can remember whatever it is that you need to remember, that you can become whatever it is that you have already been, and that in that you will evolve. I know last year at some point there came out an energy of like gifts are actually evolving, like souls are evolving. There's like a soul evolution, and like you would think that a soul is what the soul is, because like the creator, the divine, isn't necessarily going to evolve because the all is all that there is. But it feels like we're in a space of like massive evolution right now. Like there are some energies, like I said, maybe Michael is going to pick up a bow and arrow instead of the sword, or pick up the pen. And I just saw something. It's like the pen is not mightier than the sword, and the sword is not mightier than the pen. Wise is the hand that knows when to pick up the pen and knows when to pick up the sword. Because it's like, pens can't do battle and swords can't move people emotionally, type of energy. But it's like there's evolution within our very souls, within the space of gifts and abilities. And I feel like it can become these wild and crazy things that we never would have sort of been able to comprehend that they could do. Right. And that happens in that like King of Swords, King of Pentacles sort of energy, where we take things even further, we take them beyond what was initially thought. I don't know what that means. We'll find out. My head hurts. All right, I'm gonna go. Bye.